So,
wow.
2 days ago, Elon Musk dropped this stuff. And then dropped some more stuff.
Wow.
Well, I got to say on the first thing he dropped, I don't know about the other stuff, but like Six found that that stuff's been public for a while. That was actually buried in a ABC report back in, was it 2021?
Huh. I'd not ever seen it
2020.
Before. I just saw it.
There's even more stuff now. So
yeah, he dropped some other things, though. I don't know where he got this stuff from, but yeah.
God,
that's the story there. I just sent you guys in the background from the original posting.
I can't zoom in.
I can't even read that.
Yeah, I can't either. So it's on my bloody screen. God damn it. Says, what do we mean by inclusive hiring and employment practices? There's basically just a range of like questions, right? So do the inclusion standards require or encourage production to reserve a number of open positions for underrepresented groups? It's just all these kind of questions. Am I being hired to just so the production can say that they have more diversity on set? It's like, yeah, absolutely, of course you are. Like, absolutely, of course you are. What can we ask of third-party content partners to share with us about their own diversity? Blah blah blah. That's essentially it's them trying to get like a get out of jail card for racist practices, right? It's all the questions that the things that people like us would say. Well, that's clearly that's pretty racist of you. Clearly, you're only being hired because you're black or you're gay or do you know what I mean? All these other things, and they're like,
which takes ignorance off the table, then, huh?
Well, yeah, it's to say that if people have these questions, then they've got the answers and know they're not being bigoted. They're just following rules. So here you go. What do we mean by inclusive hiring and employment practices? Inclusive hiring, watch them spin their wheels and the mental gymnastics, by the way, guys. This is the wonderful thing about these things, because they're all idiots. Inclusive hiring and employment practices refer to practices that are intended to cast the widest net possible when it comes to attracting, considering, evaluating, and retaining talent for jobs. Some examples are making sure that the job opportunities are being widely disseminated to all communities. That's not, but you're focusing on certain communities, aren't you, you idiot? So it's not a wider net. Including traditionally underrepresented communities. So it's not a wide net then. You're focusing it. Expanding your own professional network to include as many people as possible. And then just a whole range of other nonsense. But so here's the funny stuff. Do the inclusion standards require or encourage productions to reserve a certain number of open positions to underrepresented groups? No. Yes, it does. The inclusion standards are about reinforcing inclusive practices. This means that productions will meet the inclusion standards by engaging in the inclusive hiring and employment practices described above. But you are still reserving them, aren't you? You are still reserving it. The inclusion standards do not require, encourage, or permit the use of quota systems or the making of employment decisions based on someone's race, gender, or other demographic identities. But they do, because to be nominated for an Academy Award, you have to meet criteria. And that criteria is hiring certain individuals from certain things. None of this makes any sense. You can't on one hand be like, yes, we must hire from these communities, but we can't hire from these communities because of these communities. But what are they even saying? It's absolute nonsense. Have you got it here, Tom, as well, have you?
Well, I found if you download the image and you can zoom in then.
Would you want to get to well, it's just nonsense. Look at it all.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's all this stuff that we would bring up as a question, and they're just saying, no, that's not what it is. It's like, but that's not true.
Yeah,
right?
It's literally what they said, isn't it?
And to me, like I said, this takes away any plausible deniability or ignorance they could have claimed. Well, before when they could have just said, well, we were just trying to do the right thing,
Well, number 5. What about instances when a character is written as a member of a specific demographic group? Aren't productions allowed to consider someone's demographic information if necessary for authenticity? Casting decisions should continue to focus on the actor's ability to portray a character rather than on the actor's demographics.
Bullshit.
We literally know you went to hunt for a Latina Snow White. We know that because Even when a character is written as a member of a specific demographic group, as one example, if an actor who is 22 years old submits for a character who is written as a 17-year-old, we would consider the actor's ability to portray a 17-year-old rather than whether the actor is 17.
Instead, you're not going to let an actor act.
But you're not going to sit there and write an African deep in the Congo and be like, yeah, Bob from down the road can come and audition for that African from the Congo. Bullshit. You're absolutely full of it. That is absolute insanity.
Well, not just that, they're basically saying they're not going to let an actor act. This is what we've been talking about for a while. You have to fit the exact demographic of what they want, right? So like you just said, they specifically went out for a Snow White, right? It was Latino, even though she's older than the character she's portraying. Yeah, it just makes no sense.
So dumb. If productions cannot base their employment decisions on someone's demographic identity, how can they meet the inclusion standards? The inclusion standards can be met through inclusive hiring and employment practices that address. What does that even mean? If a production can't,
salad.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? If a production can't base their employment decisions on what you look like and what's between your legs, how are we going to meet the inclusion standards? Well, we're going to meet them because we're going to address the standards.
I want to see this fed into like an AI and see it implode on itself. Trying to figure this shit out.
The AI will like short circuit and start acting crazy, and the whole thing will come crashing down. Cannot compute. Cannot compute.
So dumb.
I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that.
Oh dear. Come on then, Culture. What do you think?
This is a fancy way of trying to legalize, institutionalize racism, and I think that's specifically what Elon Musk has been pointing out, which is ironic because we've been pointing this out for the better part of 4 years now. That Disney is basically
this one out.
Going full on racist.
Number 8, I've been told that I'm not going to be hired on a show, even though I've worked with the showrunner many times in the past. See how specific they are with this shit? Many times in the past, and I've always done a great job. Instead, the show hired an individual from an underrepresented group. Doesn't this demonstrate that I was not hired because I'm not from an underrepresented group?
Yeah,
our productions do not. It is. Our productions do not make hiring employment decisions based on demographic identities. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
They will continue to hire individuals who is the most qualified for the position. With that said, the inclusion standards reinforce inclusion as the best practice in hiring. Hiring individuals based solely on existing relationships is not considered inclusive hiring. So productions are encouraged to consider job candidates who do not have prior experience with the production showrunner, creative leadership team, or DGE.
Wow.
How could they please explain in that case how Obid Chinoy is the most qualified person for a movie, a Star Wars movie? Please explain that to me.
I don't.
If that's the truth, it is straight up lies. It is straight up lies, and they're just keep telling them. And there's idiots out there that actually believe their crap.
Like this.
Come on,
am I being hired just so the production can say they have more diversity on set? No, we hire the individual who's. I mean, but you're not. Like, that's not what it is. It's not what it is. It's not what it is at all. If the entire premise of this entire thing is we need to force representation, then yeah, you are literally being hired. It doesn't. You can't say you're hiring the most qualified for a job if you're trying to force representation on set. It's not how it works.
Nope.
Those two things don't align. You can't have one narrative of one goal of I must hire representation, right? I'm hiring for representation, and then the other be like, but also I have to fit. It has to be the best person for the job. Because what if the best person for the job just happens to be white and a man?
Jesus,
so you're not going to hire him, are you?
Yeah.
There's more pages to this, man.
It is insane.
I mean, it's a long list. I mean, we could literally probably spend a whole show just on this.
Yeah.
Going through it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely could.
Oh, absolutely. Because this is just...
Crazy.
Anyway,
wow.
I don't know. Look, I don't know what to do with this. Because it gets worse. The more you learn about these things, the worse it looks for Disney and all these other corporations by association, because they all have similar bullshit going on in the background. So, you know, the fact that the general public is not clued into the fact that this is a racist practice that is being institutionalized in all of these companies, it is a little bit ridiculous. It's like somebody telling you that we have a secure border to the south of us here in the United States, which we don't.
Well, not even to get to that point. I think, well, I get where you're coming from, Culture, and I want to hope that the general public is starting to come around to this and realize it, because you had, what was it, Harvard or what other college? I can't remember whatever college it was.
Oh, Harvard. Yeah, they booted out people. All these institutions have been caught because they're allowing for people who have plagiarized material to be running their universities. Fuck me.
Well, not just that. I was talking about the one that actually eliminated the whole they had the what the hell do you call it? The action, affirmative action stuff. Yeah, thank you. I thought it was Harvard or one of those schools. They had just struck it all down or whatever. And then maybe what was a result of that, what you were just talking about. But either way, like, you had that and all that kind of stuff go on. It's just the natural. And then you have the whole plane stuff that's going on too. Like, people are starting to see this stuff. And it's pretty obvious if you don't have the right people for the job, people who understand the job, who can do the job, who are passionate about the job, and all that kind of stuff, and aren't just there to collect a paycheck and only got there because of the color of their skin or who they like to fuck. Pardon my French, but it's true. You know, at this point, that's where we've gotten. And it's not just in entertainment. It's not just in politics. It's not just in corporate America. It's across the board.
Yep.
Right? But what we don't see is equality when it comes to other certain things that I'm not going to dive into that part of it. But yeah, it's just, when you see this, all this does is, to me, is like confirm what we've been saying for the last 5-10 years, right? It just shows more and more that we were right.
Oh yeah.
And I'll never get tired of being right, but I wish I was wrong.
Yeah, on stuff like this. Yeah, I would agree with you. Any other comments to make on this? No, Nick, just nah.
I mean, they're all full of shit.
They are.
I mean, this has been going on, and like Tom said, it's not just in this industry. I mean, we saw with leaked documents from Chris Gore and stuff how the same things happen in the music industry, the publishing companies. I mean, it's happening everywhere, you know.
We've seen it in video games, comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.